Welcome to Fifth Element. So I've had several students ask lately for videos of positional fundamentals or fundamentals from various positions, side control, half guard, et cetera, et cetera. So, and I strongly believe that each position has some very fundamental concepts that, if applied properly, will lead you to success in each of those positions. And even better terminology is the term control. John Danaher uses that terminology, and I really like. It's a much better way to think about your jiu-jitsu, because control is what enables me to create isolation and security in submissions. So in this video, we're going to look at the fundamentals of side control top position, which is my personal favorite place to be. So with my uke here. So there's essentially 4 to 5 really fundamental things we want to look at side control. This goes back to, I learned a series of fundamentals from Matt Thornton years and years ago as one of his students, and he called them Fundamental 5, so I'd very much like to give him credit for that. So fundamental number 1, or concept number 1, because jiu-jitsu really should be concept-based. Concept number 1 in side control should first and always be denying the guard, your ability to recover guard. When I'm on top of somebody in side mount, let's spin this way. When I'm on top of somebody in side mount, my opponent really has one of 4 options. He can recover his guard, he can reverse me, he can escape to his knees or his feet, or he can submit me. Those are really the 4 primary options that you have in this position, whether side control or half guard. Those are your 4 objectives. So his ability to recover guard is always going to be the easiest thing for him to do to get me out of this position of dominance. And a lot of times, we get into side mount off of, boom, we're passing the guard, okay? And as I'm cutting through, I start getting position, he shrimps out a little bit, he gets that knee back in between us, boom, and he's putting me back into guard right away. So once we clear the knee line, which really identifies that we have passed guard, it is mandatory that we do not move backwards. We must maintain that position that we have obtained, okay? So that can be done one of several ways. I can drop my hip to secure it. I can bring my knee to check. I can use my arm, what we refer to as a diaper check, okay? Actually, let's turn our body this way a little bit. Okay, I can use my arm to diaper check. So that is always gonna be number 1. And we put that as number 1 is because we can't skip these steps. It's very common, if somebody comes into jiu-jitsu from wrestling, they're very upper body focused because the whole concept in wrestling is pin. So if I'm pinning somebody, it's typically strong upper body dominance. But that does not mean that my lower body is being dominant and staying tight. So if you put a wrestler on top of a jiu-jitsu player, the jiu-jitsu player is typically going to be able to put them into guard fairly easily because they're leaving their hips elevated. So once we've obtained side control, number 1 is always deny the guard, block the guard, okay? First and foremost. Number 2 is going to be my ability to control the head and shoulders. The spine is the longest lever you have in the entire body. It's connected, the chin is connected to the tailbone, okay? That's why the chin is really the steering wheel for the body. If I control the head, I can control the chin, I can control everything. So once we've denied the guard, we move on to number 2, which is head control. And typically that's going to be done with classic cross face. In no-gi, I'm really a fan of active cross facing. Traditionally, I was originally taught to. We get an underhook, we get a cross face, we lock our hands together, and we put strong chest-to-chest pressure. But what that does is it takes a lot of weight off of my opponent, really. It puts a lot of weight on my knees, and it does not fully activate the head pressure that I could be applying. So once I put my head control in for no-gi, for gi, the only difference is I'm going to grab gi. But for no-gi, I always want to keep one hand free in my upper body control too. So when I shoot my left arm through, I'm going to grab the armpit, and I'm going to pull him into me, and then I'm going to apply shoulder to chin pressure. Very, very different, okay? And now in this situation, my right hand is completely free to start attacking, to frame on the hips, to block the guard. It's a tool that I have available to use now, okay? So number 1, block the guard. Number 2, upper body control. Notice that once I'm doing number 2, I cannot forget about number 1, because if I start going strong upper body control and he shrimps out and he puts me right back into guard, my upper body control means nothing now. It's gone. Okay, so number 3 is killing this arm, the arm in between us. This is going to be one of the first frames he's going to utilize against my hips to create space to recover his guard or to add a secondary frame against my neck. Okay, so we can do this one of two ways: by switching my base towards the head, by switching my base towards the hips, or I guess I can pop up beyond belly too. So really 3 options, 4 options. I can go to north-south too. Lots of options in jiu-jitsu. So number 1 is switching to a modified Kasugatame. Okay, I've got activated head control. My right hip is low. I'm blocking the guard. So now I got to kill the inside arm. I got to nullify it. I got to take his tools away from him. So real simple. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to start lifting up my left knee so I can shoot my right leg through. And we're going to switch ourselves into a modified Kasugatame. In this position, notice right now my butt or my hips are on the ground. I don't want that modified Kesa. Okay, I want my hips slightly elevated so he is carrying my weight. Okay, I can't get too top heavy because I'll get rolled through. But I want to find, just kind of hovering off the ground, my weight should really be centered on his rib cage on the near side. Okay, now all I'm going to do is switch my base back. It's really important I keep his elbow above my hip line. His elbow line stays above my hip line. So when I switch into modified Kesa, we're going to switch right back. And notice where that elbow is at now. So if he wants to try to put that elbow into my hip, okay, and that takes little to no energy to secure that arm. Okay, so that's option number 1. Option number 2 is moving into basically like a high side ride. Okay, so he's framing on my hip. But this time, it's a little bit closer to his wrist now. So all that I'm going to do is I'm going to release, and I'm going to come over the top. I'm going to diaper check on the hips. Now I'm going to switch my hips to the high 45 side control. Okay? The arm is completely nullified again. So, number 1 is switching to modified Kesa. So basically, I bring the arm up, and then I'm going to trap the arm to the body. Number 2 is switching towards a high 45 side right. So that's basically pinning, and then what he's going to do is try to escape that arm, and a lot of times it's going to end up on the inside of our bodies. Okay, so number 1, deny the guard. Number 2, upper body control. Number 3 is killing that inside arm. Number 4, once I've done all 3 of those very well, blocking guard, I've got good head control, I've killed the inside arm, now I'm free to go hunting. Okay, so and a lot of times if we're attacking outside arm control, we set up situations where I can go 3-on-1. I've got 2 hands, I've got 1 head, 3 offensive tools. He has 1 defensive tool, that is his arm. So if we're looking for our key locks, our straight arm locks, our kimuras, okay, we can look for arm wraps, arm triangles. All of that stuff is going to come because I have my foundation base covered. And really, in my opinion, really good jiu-jitsu should be concept based. Jiu-jitsu should be simple. I don't believe in complicated, crazy technical jiu-jitsu because I think only very few people can do it. I think good jiu-jitsu should be simple and concept based. And when you learn those concepts, jiu-jitsu just gets more and more fun every day you practice. So those are your primary fundamentals from side control top. Please practice and let me know how it goes. Thank you.